put out this video to make a statement. I'm no longer considering running as a UKIP candidate. I tried thinking that I could attack this from within, and it's not going to work. You know, I'm very passionate about what I do. I've sacrificed living at my home, where I was really happy in Rochester, New York. My family, I've been separated from my wife for the best part of a year. You know, apart from 6 weeks we had in the summer of last year. You know, and how far do I go? You know, I've lived this for 48 years, and I'm still reliving it now on a day-to-day basis. You know, I've been very blinkered along the way. You know, because I've got one pop at this, because I tried to expose it when I was a kid in 1967. I tried again in 2003. Right, this time, right, I'm 61 years old now. Right, I might not get another chance, and every time during my past, this has led me down some roads that have always led back to drug addiction, and I'm not prepared to go back down that road. Yeah, I've made mistakes in my life, but you know what? I've paid the consequences, and I've turned my life completely around. You know, and living in New York, the only thing that I know, Republicans, Democrats, I read things in the newspapers or see things in the news, but you know what? I've been away from politics for so long. I don't know. I didn't know what UKIP was. I really don't know what any political party stands for these days. But I saw this as an opportunity to go on the attack. My focus was, if I can't get them from the outside, maybe I can try and get them from the inside. And that is the end of it. You know, I didn't understand the implications of maybe how that political party might be viewed, but at the end of the day, I've gone into it blinkered, because my focus is on attacking Nottingham City Council, their elected leader, and the chief executive. The chief executive is a blatant liar, and I want them brought to book. The police, what have they done for me? Well, they believe what the council said, that they have no records of my perpetrator. But myself and another person who's been involved in my case, we've found records that place me where they say I wasn't. Identified people that do exist that the council say don't exist. And at the end of the day, when this has all happened, I remember every time what those abusers told me years ago, you can tell whoever you want, no one's ever going to believe you. And that leads me this time around that I'm going to take every opportunity that I can. You know, and I've gone into this, like I said, to try and attack from the inside. It's not going to work, because it started with a little smear campaign about what they're going to try and expose that they know about me. I'm fine with that, because I outed myself on social media because I don't have a problem with it. But when it starts going off into me standing in an area that's belongs to multiple ethnic groups, and I'm going to be labelled as being somebody that they despise, you know, this is bang out of order. But this is what politics is about. You know, they'll do anything that they can to try and discredit me. They've done everything they can to try and discredit me already. I've been marginalised by the police. I have one point of contact for the police. I have one point of contact for the city council. One point of contact for the county council. Why? Because you've got to get past that first gatekeeper. And that's why, out of desperation more than anything, I've gone to the lengths that I've gone to. I need to keep the integrity of what I've got to do, and keep the focus on me, Mickey Summers. I've learned what's going on. It's not about doing things for the survivors. It's about protecting their corporations and protecting their finances. And they'll go to any lengths, just the same as politicians will. And I'm declaring the end. You know, I'm going to keep my focus now on what I've got to do for me, and what I can do to help all the other survivors. And I think that's about all I can say on the matter. And you know, I did try and enter this politically, because I do have a friend of mine that's a parliamentary candidate, and one of the places that I did go to was Risley Hall Approved School, and its potential constituency incorporates the area where Risley Hall is, and a lot of the people that in his political party, they were interested when they heard my plight and what happened to me at Risley Hall, and that's where my blinker came back on. I saw it as an opportunity. Well, they took a great interest in what went on at Risley Hall, an even bigger interest when I explained that the City Council were putting it out as 3 children's homes in Risley Hall, when in fact I had a Freedom of Information request that highlighted 12 children's homes plus Risley Hall. More's been exposed since, but the interest they showed led me to believe that maybe that was the way forward. It's not going to be the way forward. People power is what it's going to be about, and at the end of the day I'm going to stick with the people and the people that have stuck by me. I think that's about all I can say.
Well, I'm just going to add to this. At the moment, the people think you're part of a far-right and far-right extremist organisations. Are you in any way affiliated with any kind of extremist organisations, far-right wing?
I don't belong to the EDL, BNP, any anti-Muslim groups. I don't do isms, end of story. You know, I don't do ageism, racism, sexism. I treat people as equals.
And the other question I wanted to ask you was, you considered standing as a UKIP candidate.
Yes.
Why didn't you consider doing it as an independent?
Because any savings that I had when I went out to New York, I've exhausted them, right? You can't begin to imagine the phone bills from a mobile phone, like spending most days Monday to Friday calling various people like the council, the police, like running around in circles. Like my average phone bill was about $650 a month alone, and then I've had the expense of coming here. I've had to buy a car. I've had to pay for insurance for a car. Like I've had to live because I couldn't claim benefits when I first came here because I've been out of the country. You know, it's a long, hard road, and when you've exhausted everything that you've got, if you're that determined to get somewhere, you cling on with desperation.
Well, yeah, you do. So tomorrow, what's happening tomorrow then?
The protest rally is still going to go on, because that is not about UKIP or any other political party, right? It's not about Mickey Summers, right? It's about people wanting a fully independent, survivors-led public inquiry. We're on the verge of getting it, you know, and that's why I say, like, I'm looking out now for the integrity of that inquiry and myself. That inquiry comes before myself. You know, this is not about me. I'm a very selfless person, you know, and I don't need much more. You know, I could have took the money and run last year.
Yeah.
I chose not to.
So what time's the gathering tomorrow?
It's at 12 o'clock until 3 o'clock at the Old Market Square in Nottingham.
At the Old Market Square, and I tell you, you'll be addressing the crowd there as well.
Anyone wants to know what is going on with me, what is going on with the CSA Inquiry Action Group, I'm an open book. I've got nothing to hide. And
you can now officially state that you have withdrawn or are no longer considering standing for.
I'm no longer considering. Like this has had a detrimental effect on me, and at the end of the day, I'm not going to ruin everything that I've stood for all along. And when things start to get dark and political, and painting me to be something that I'm not having it. At the end of the day, I detest bullies anyway, but I detest nonces more than anyone else. And if anyone wants to go out and protect a nonce, like by hiding documents, destroying documents, like claiming that they don't exist, and Nottingham City Council know exactly who I'm talking about, and the people who have been behind me know who we're talking about. Like, they know better than the nonsense themselves, you know. And like the police, let's take an attack on the police, because like it took the police to tell me that there was going to be a video interview in New York. The video interview never happened. I had to arrange my own interview, and then when I got back here on April the 3rd last year, I've had to fight them till December to get interviewed. I was involved with Operation Daybreak for 18 months before I ever saw a UK police officer, and even then it took a journalist from a newspaper in Mansfield, where I used to live years ago, to put on the front page, find my rapist before they brought him in. They knew his name, they knew everything. I asked for the job title from the City Council. We have no records beyond 1974, so I asked the County Council for them. In the public interest, we're not going to give you that information, and we neither admit nor deny that Alan Smith was my child rapist.
Would you say that you've now got to the stage where you've realised politics isn't the answer to this? Are you now going to concentrate on bringing the perpetrators to justice via the common law courts, via the court system, and via the justice system?
I need to step back a little bit, Joe, and take a little bit more of an in-depth look, because the police in the last couple of weeks, we've had 2 perpetrators actually charged and are now in the system. One's in custody and one's on bail. One of my perpetrators that the police have traced, he was interviewed under caution. The police told me he was arrested, but we've factually proved that to be wrong. But that's over 3 months ago. I need to be battering on their door. How much longer do they want to hold this on for? Because, how long can they keep someone on bail for?
Is he on bail?
Well, maybe they'll just give him a bale of straw to sleep on. You know, the thing is, the other thing, what we've got to try and smash here in Nottingham is a collusion, what they call a strategic partnership. It's a conspiracy to hide all their past failures. The City Council's failures, the County Council's failures. But there is going to be some news that will break from other news sources over the next few weeks. And God willing, Nottingham will go down just like Rotherham. You know, and I'll be justified in doing all that I've tried to do.
Yeah. Well, I know you said earlier that UKIP had been pretty much with you from the start, from behind you from the start.
Several members had been.
Several members had been behind you from the start. Has it now got to the stage where their motives are being questioned? I mean, what is their stance on the fact that you've pulled back from considering being a candidate? How have they reacted to that?
I've told them that I'll speak to them tomorrow, but I'm pulling out. Yeah. And that some of them, they're as passionate as what I am, but
it's not an avenue that that you can really use to get to the ends of child abuse, is it? I mean, the political the arena itself, the political arena is fought with mines and grenade launchers to stop you getting any justice and getting heard. So actually going in, I can understand why you might think it was tunnel visioned. You know, you tend to get so focused on the end result, you'll use any opportunity to get to where you need to be, and so therefore used the UKIP idea as a vehicle simply because you couldn't afford to do it as an independent. Would that be about right? It
would be about right, you know, but like I said earlier, when you've exhausted every financial resource that you have, and you're down to living on £60 a week benefits, that's not a lifestyle I've grown accustomed to. Having moved out to the States with savings, having exhausted all that and got to where I am, I'm going to grab hold of anything and everything that I can. I'm barely keeping my head above water, but you know, my focus still is what I came here for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I need to put emphasis on the fact that my wife Lorraine is still out in Rochester, New York. She went back in August. I've not physically been in her presence.
Yeah.
but very few people will get the fact that, oh well, they're okay. You know, they talk to each other on the phone most days. But you know what? I no longer feel connected with reality. You know, I live this shit 24/7. You know, and the detrimental effects on my family, it's horrendous. And unless you've been there, done it and worn the t-shirt, the only thing I can say is you'll never understand.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think, you know, I can certainly appreciate the fact that anyone can make a mistake of trying to use a vehicle to get to somewhere and then realise that it's a contaminated vehicle, and, you know, as I say, mud sticks. So I think the sooner the people realise that this is as pretty much a naive misunderstanding of someone who's lived in America and didn't even know what UKIP stand for.
Well, when you live out there, like all you know, all they have out there is two main parties.
Yeah.
The Democrats and the other mob. But no, and the thing is, you know, the years running up to moving out to the States, you know, I was focused on turning my life around. You know, spent years, week in, week out, seeing therapists and trying to nail down what had happened to me and putting the pieces of the jigsaw back together in my life. And the only thing I can say is that, like I learned in the early days where I ceased to be a drug addict, one thing I learned was the best person who can help and understand another drug addict is a former addict. And that is where my claim along all this comes in with what I've done to bring out other survivors in all this. I apply the same principles that maybe one survivor can help and understand another. I think with that, I don't really have a lot more to say, Joe.
One thing's for sure, you don't mean politics in that, do you? I mean, politics seems to muddy the waters at the best of times. To keep what you're doing about Mickey Summers the man, it's so much easier to support and get behind a man who's been wronged in this way, but to get behind a political candidate, I mean, even some of the nicest political candidates out there, people still hate them. You know, it's not. I don't think taking them on toe to toe on a political arena is going to work, and especially, you know, by jumping on to the coattails as such of UKIP. You know, it was a easy thing to do, thinking it might bring you results, but what it's done is bring you some serious grief.
It was my choice. You know, I saw it as an opportunity, and like I said, pardon?
Do you regret it?
You know, I've gone through the last 12 years since I turned my life around, you know, and I have no regrets about anything what I do. You know, I've gone into this open eyes but blinkered, because I have one thing on my agenda to get to where I want to get, and I've made mistakes along the way. But what I do, I take ownership of what I've done. I look at it for what it is, address it, and move on. And for me, today, I've decided I'm moving on.
So where do we go from here? Tomorrow is a big day, obviously. You said 12 o'clock till 3 at the town hall. What are you hoping to see there?
I'm hoping to see the same amount of support as we've had on other occasions.
Or maybe double.
Well, who knows?
Yeah, and of course you're open to questions when you get there.
Yeah, I'm an open book, so anyone's got any problems,
excellent.
You know where I am, you know where I'll be.
Thanks for having me.
Debt Free TV, in association with GetOutOfDebtFree.org.